So obviously, I haven't really had a chance to talk about this, but I did get to write a really long piece about it. So I'll let everybody else go for it. Whoever wants to go first.
I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, there'll also be another piece coming out with my full thoughts. But I I think this is one of those attractions that can grow on you. If like I didn't have super nostalgia for it before I became an AP and was able to go more often, and it was weirdly in my 30s now that I've realized that it's how great it is. And there's just something about the thing that I always kind of come back to is camaraderie. The show really tries to bring you into their kind of madcap schemes. It's sort of we're all one big happy family. Whereas Enchanted Tiki Room, as much as we love it, is sort of like, here, stand up and there's the exit and go, right? Carousel Progress is sort of pitching you the future. This is like the one that is sort of like, hey, we're just happy you're here, and here's a little show, and please come back as soon as you can because we really would love to have you. Y'all come back now. And it's a charm that I don't really feel anywhere else in the parks, and I think to lose it would be to lose kind of the soul of Frontierland, really. I think it sort of set the tone for Splash Mountain and for Big Thunder. And I don't think people understand too that this won't just be Country Bear. I mean, you got to be crazy to think that if you take Country Bear, they're going to retheme the restaurant at some point into Bullseye's whatever, and the post store is going to end up being all Toy Story merch, and it's going to be Toy Story Land 2.0 already, weirdly, before too long. So I'm just still super bummed, and I think that it's because it does feel like Disney has ceased to care about a property that has as much to offer as any other IP they have. If they would only utilize it, there's 2 other shows. There's plenty of merchandise opportunities. They could make a cartoon out of it. They could do. We were talking on Twitter. There should be a Country Bear brew. Like it's you could get a plastic jug. They've already made one, so it's not impossible. Have a specialty drink. Have bear claws or whatever. Like do stuff, and it's so lazy. It just feels like the
It clearly
laziest
sells
possible thing.
merch because like there's the
Yeah,
socks and the shirts and there's the Big Al ceramic statue. Like there's
right.
currently a lot of merchandise, more than some other older
Hmm.
attractions.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And it's just for me, it's not. If you could bring in something that was really like unique and interesting and something, I'd be for it. But I sort of feel like this is just um, the laziest as I keep saying it because it's the most true. Like it's the laziest possible thing. What's the simplest approach we could do? How about a theme park show about a Howdy Doody homage in a movie? Like it's so strange, and kids are just going to be like, why are they marionettes? And no one's going to really understand what it is because they're not. The characters wouldn't even be Woody and Jesse and Pete and Bullseye. These are the characters in the show, so they're not even the characters people come to the parks
Yeah.
for. So it's
Also, our
yeah,
Frontierland is not that 50s television
no,
representation. That's
no,
Disneyland. That's the
hmm
wrong Frontierland. I don't
yeah.
get it.
So those are. I mean, I could go on all night, but those are my piece. That's my piece.
Yeah, I think the key phrase that you used was charm.
Yeah.
And I think that is, that's probably the word we're going to talk about a lot, and you're going to hear a lot as we get feedback from our viewers and listeners is charm. Even if we separate what they're replacing it with, just the fact that they're taking it out of
Yeah.
Frontierland is a huge hit on what that land is. I mean, if you think about it, there's not a whole lot to the land in itself. I mean, Big Thunder is tenuously connected to the Frontierland. I mean, Splash Mountain is not connected at all, but it fits in okay there. But what it does have is the whimsy that Country Bear had as well. So now you're throwing another property in there, which, yes, if you had to choose any property, this is about the only one that you could put in there that makes any type of sense. But even then, you're taking out the historical aspect, and again, I hate to keep using the word, but it is what it is. It's charm. It's it's a level of entertainment that is not trying to sell you something. It's just trying to help you enjoy where you are.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, it's Mark Davis's magnum opus. Like, it is a masterclass, I think, on theme park characters, like, and how to develop a character in a show without human beings in it. And it changed the game forever. 'Cause you remember, like, Tiki Room existed. Tiki Room was built in '63. And at that point, they did amazing character development, but they didn't have the technology to do anything more than birds. Head goes up and down, bird opens mouth, bird turns. They didn't have the ability to build animatronics that showed character, and Mark drew these characters up that just had this character, and they were able to actually translate that into audio animatronics. So think about Shaker, who actually shakes and originally had the eyebrow movements, and you think about Big Al and the way like the head goes up, and he really gets into those notes. They're just really special, and they're very much alive. They don't feel like animatronics. They feel like they're really there. They have life. They have a personality, and they're well animated, and the show's beautifully staged, and it's a theme park masterclass, and it's the original. That is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, the Tiki Room at Disneyland is off limits because it is the original. Why is the Country Bear Jamboree, which is absolutely in that class of Small World and Mansion and Pirates and all of those things, why is this up for grabs?
Well, and not even just up for grabs, but like, not. We've seen this show done well in other forms, right? Vacation is beloved. Christmas is enjoyed. Yeah. I don't know if it's as beloved as Vacation, because I think Vacation has more time to become beloved, but people like these things, and you could have. And when I hear this complaint from some fans at Disney, well, I don't know, not fans of Country Bear, but they say, well, they don't. It doesn't really move anything. People don't really care about Country Bear, and I'm saying that the fault of that is Disney. That is Disney's fault. They have two shows that they could constantly put, through. If the 50th was Vacation Hoedown's coming back, that would thrill people. That would get people in the doors. I just don't think they understand that, like, this is a property that is viable. Someone complained to me, oh, but they tried a Country Bears movie and it didn't work. So, and I'm like, that was, first of all, a terrible movie that had very little to do with Country Bears, and two, was almost 20 years ago. The property has not been mined. And for me, like, for a company that is so good at being selfish with their content and sort of thinking through what they can do with it and mining it for all it's worth, they have done barely anything in the last 20 years to really promote Country Bear Jamboree. So for them to just kind of give up the ghost and act like it's, well, no one cares. Well, of course they don't. It's on you. When we keep bringing up this charm thing too, the one thing that I think that kind of came to me is the only thing similar in the parks for me that reminds me of Country Bear Jamboree and is kind of similar. It came out 5 years after Country Bear was The Muppet Show. And both are similar in the idea of we're putting on a show and we're going to bring the hijinks from behind the scenes kind of on the stage, and there's commentators on the sides, and there's all this sort of connective tissue. Now, they're not the same thing, but weirdly, I feel like Disney can't figure out how to use either. And I think that it is that common thread of a thing that just wants to entertain you, that they don't feel like they can market for some reason. They're both sort of anti-establishment. The Bears are sort of saying things that they kind of giggle at because it's almost like they shouldn't be saying them. And Big Al literally, I mean, the big joke in Blood on the Sand is like Big Al's chuckle at the end. Like, he knows that he's kind of done a dark tune. And I don't think Disney has a clue how to market irreverence. I think that they're so...
Why does it need to be marketed? It is the most visited theme park in the world. The fact that there's a place to go inside in air conditioning and sit for 12 to 15 minutes, I think it doesn't matter what's there. Are you really going to sell more of your same junky Toy Story merchandise.
Yeah.
And I say junky because the current park merchandise, for the most part, is made like trash, if we want to be real honest. Are you really going to sell a couple more bullseyes because of the show that you didn't sell in your land? I don't understand this thought process. If you just put them out there, I don't care. You want to put Toy Story merch at Big Al's? Go for it. I don't care. If you want to put it there, you don't have any bear merchandise to put there anyway. You put the clothes in the other store for some goddamn reason. Just put it there. Just sell your bullseyes. I don't care. Keep the show. But you can sell all the junk you want. You want to sell bullseye bubble blowers. You want bullseye ear hats. You want headbands. You want whatever garbage you want to sell. You can sell it. I don't care.
I mean, heck, I would be fine if they redid the show and put Woody's Roundup as a song in the show. You can still incorporate things without completely bulldozing, something from the past. It's like we can find a compromise. It's not impossible. But I
don't know. I think my heart would be just as broken if they did a Disney song review in the country.
Oh, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want that. I think you get away with that Western song and that's about it. But it's a lack of. I agree. You don't have to market it. It's there. It should be presentable. But there are people who say that they don't know that it's there, and I think that deals with the fact that it is sort of not. I don't know. It's not given. If there were plushes of Big Al out front in Big Al's cart, we would probably see people go, "Oh, I don't know what that is," and figure it out. But lo and behold, we don't.
Yeah, I think what Disney's lost sight of, and the part that you can't overstate, is the impact that this attraction has on popular culture. You mentioned it earlier, Tom, in the show that it's well known throughout popular culture. It's referenced many times. And the reason that's possible is because this has multi-generational cultural significance. So my parents went to Country Bear. I went to Country Bear. My kids have gone to Country Bear. It's now gone beyond, Toy Story is starting to maybe get into its second generation, but, nothing compared to what Country Bear is. And I think Disney's lost sight of the idea that, you need these cross-generational properties. You need these cross-generational attractions in order to keep people coming back and bringing their kids back. If they wanted just another Toy Story show, they would stick in a DVD and play it for their kids in the car.
But they also have a land. There's a land that has all these big open spaces. Just put it there.
That's what breaks me about this, is that Toy Story had, to me, I don't know why I look like I'm 240p video right now. I have an HD camera. The thing that breaks me is that no Toy Story thing, at least to me, and I'm sure everyone else here might agree, no Toy Story thing has ever made sense why it's there, story-wise, why this ride exists or this attraction, and why you're going on it. And none of them even capture the heart of Toy Story. We have a Monsters, Inc. ride that was a hasty refurb of an existing Superstar limo that actually captures the heart of Monsters, Inc., and which is the relationship between Boo and Sully.
I think Laugh Floor does too. I think people are unfair to Laugh Floor, but
yeah, Laugh Floor is like the sequel to Monsters, Inc. You see what they're doing and how that has progressed. Nothing Toy Story makes sense or even relates back to the film. It's these. Yeah. I hate to use the term because I know they're original attractions, but they're these garbage. They're these garbage attractions that could be themed to anything else. The ride systems and everything are not unique to it at all. I mean, we have swirling saucers elsewhere. It's just a slapped-on theme, essentially. And there's Country Bears has a heart to it, and all the other Magic Kingdom attractions do. You come off of Country Bears and you're like, somebody spent time on that, and they were devoted to working on that project. Like that video of Mark Davis, who was just happy to be working on that project so much. And I think there are a lot of attractions at Magic Kingdom that do have that heart. Like even Ariel's, Voyage of the Little Mermaid, you come off of that and you're like, okay, that was the plot of the movie, and it looks like the animation style, kind of. And those things capture the heart of what the original idea or the original IP is, and Toy Story never does that. And that's what breaks me about this, is that Toy Story would be a terrible thing to put in. Any Toy Story thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Tom, we got
I
a
mean, I
couple
think
callers that
Oh,
want
we
to
have
talk.
some callers. Let's take some calls.
Let's see. Eric wants to talk. He's the one that played the game.
Oh yeah, we should get Eric on. Eric's been
And
waiting.
Jesse's on the line too. He wants to talk.
So we have Eric.
Bring Eric on.
Eric.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey Eric, welcome back.
I didn't hear anything anyone on the panel was saying, just you two guys. So I apologize if I
Oh, okay.
reiterate something that's already been said. But I just want to put it out there, kind of my relationship to why this matters so much to me. I've been really great with, things change, of course, over time. I was down there for the Jaws closing, and that ride meant a lot to me, but I had to let it go. And then Maelstrom, I completely understood, it's time for something new. And then Great Movie Ride came along. And it was the same thing kind of at the time. It's like, oh, well, time for something new. But Great Movie Ride is really the one that has just, as time goes on more and more, it's like what it represented and then what it's being replaced with feels so hollow.
Yeah.
Especially since now it's just going to be a ride that's going to be copied and placed in, whatever, any land, any park. It's like what Great Movie Ride meant didn't matter. It didn't matter to the people who run it. They saw you can make more money. And I understand the business side, of course, but you can make more money with what it's replacing.
I mean, that park has Galaxy's
that's
Edge.
the
I
one
don't know
that's-
how much more money you can make.
Right. And it's like that one's really pushed me to this point of feeling like I need to be really vocal about some rides. And then, of course, you've talked about the seas and the land closing. And I picked my battle instantly. I said, okay, here's I can let go of the seas.
We have
I
5
can let
years
go of
though.
the land.
At the least, we have 5 years though. Bears is way more immediate.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying living with the land is the one I'm going to hold on to, and that's the hill I'm going to die on. As far as something I feel like I need to talk about its importance. Not even losing it, but updating it. And if you got to add some Looney Tunes, whatever, add some characters. But it's about that ride. And then Country Bear Jamboree is just so important. But and that's the latest one. So I feel like living with the land and Country Bear Jamboree are what I'm just pushing for so hard with trying to get the corporation's attention. But I think the most surprising aspect about this is how current popular people that are pushing. I'm sorry, did you say something?
No, go ahead.
Oh, just people who are really popular on social media or what have you. I'm amazed, and these are people my age in their late 30s or 40s who have really only been going to the parks, it seems, since like 2005. And I think what they've really lost in the cultural mind or whatever, the fan mindset, was how special each park was, because characters were relegated to, I don't know how to put it, where they felt like they belonged.
Yeah.
Like, I'll never forget when I saw Buzz Lightyear was being placed in Tomorrowland. That was such a weird, and I was like a kid.
Yeah.
And it was like, this doesn't fit. He's space, but he's not tomorrow. And then just slowly having more and more franchises creep in. And it's bizarre. You'll talk to someone now who's a social influencer, whatever, and the whole concept of characters feeling like they have a home in a particular area because of what they are, I think that's really, really lost.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. The part that really gets me is I don't really understand how you can be a Disney fan and be so blind to the importance of those core attractions like Small World and Bears and Pirates and Mansion. And we saw a lot of this, and there was there was a lot more social implication for the auction scene change in Pirates of the Caribbean. But it's very much we're dying on the same hill here, and I think it's on a much grander scale because we're fixing to lose something in entirety, which is the entire existence of the Country Bears, which is this legendary original attraction created by one of Walt's 9 old men, you know, overseen by Walt Disney in phases. The only completely original attraction at the Magic Kingdom, because you have to remember the Hall of Presidents is just taking great moments of Mr. Lincoln and adding a lot more people to it. Let's not forget that. And then Mickey Mouse Revue was based on characters and, you know, Disney music. So this is the only original that begins at Walt Disney World. It is the defining Magic Kingdom attraction and in many ways the soul of the park because it was made for that park. Sure, it began for Mineral King, but I think it you know, it was meant to speak to a Southern audience that may have been near Orlando and the people that would have been in driving distance of Walt Disney World. And it clearly did. I mean, everyone's heard the stories when it opened. That store next door, the I don't even remember. I never remember the name of it. They sell food. They sell cupcakes and drinks and all that stuff. The little store next door.
Wait, yeah.
Yeah, that was extended queue. That was an extended queue. That wasn't a shop. The Country Bear line filled that whole street down to Pecos and through that shop for the first several years of the park. It is, you know, certainly popularity changes, but I think that you have a show that loads every 12 minutes and always has at least half a house. That's a lot of people and still more people than some of the headliners. So someone's got to come to that realization.
And your average, of course, your average teenager, and I'm surprised by how many people, even in their late 20s, think it's boring and, you know, they don't care about it. They're okay with it leaving. But I'm amazed that there's no one higher up in the company that would even say, well, this is so important historically and artistically, we should update the current show.
I mean, there are people in the company fighting. There's definitely people in high places fighting. The problem are the people in the highest places who maybe began their career in ketchup marketing, which I don't know who needs to market ketchup. Pretty sure we all know what ketchup is. So maybe there's some high-ranking executive who doesn't have hair who began in ketchup marketing and moved to Disney Consumer Products and now is in a place that he doesn't understand and is now just ignorant and doesn't listen to the people around him and is just willing to cram whatever, wherever, in an effort to see those margins grow without any real care for whatever's being done. And that is the problem we're in. And I know we've joked about it on this show for a long time, but now, like with Great Movie Ride, and now especially with this, it's becoming less funny and it's becoming more infuriating.
Yeah, Great Movie Ride over time especially breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It's like that could have been something, and once they own all these franchises, like, are you kidding me? I mean, you have something that could be the ultimate tribute that could hold the art that was the Great Movie Ride, and everyone makes fun of that, but everyone just poo-poos the artists and all those scenes, and we're at this period where no one cares about moving through physical scenes. You know, people say that's boring and it's not interesting to see that stuff, so it's rough.
People are fighting for it, though, and kudos to Universal, who just built a ride without screens. And that's Hagrid's. And it's a really fantastic attraction. It feels more like a Disney attraction than anything in Pixar Pier and Toy Story Land. So, and I can't believe in the 12 years I've been doing this show, I have never said nearly anything positive about Universal. And I just literally ranked them above Disney. So that should tell everybody something at this point.
Well, and now
Dumb, we got a bunch more callers on the line.
So I don't know what the flip-flop there is with.
Well, Eric, we got a bunch of people on the line. I want to thank you for voicing your opinions. Hopefully you've left some thoughts on SaveTheJamboree.com so they'll read it. I
will. Thank you guys so much for keeping it going. It's It's a heartbreaker.
Thank you for caring. We appreciate it. All right, let's
All right, we got
keep
Jesse
going.
on
Yeah.
the line.
Jesse,
Hey guys, how's it going?
it's been better.
Yeah, I'm sure. When you made that announcement on the Wigs show last week, I just, in my heart of hearts, I just knew it was going to be Country Bear, and it makes me sad. And reading your article, there's not much more I could say. You've pretty much said it all.
I mean, we worked on that piece. We've known for a while, and obviously with sources, you're asked to hold things for a certain amount of time sometimes. And so myself, and that wasn't just me who wrote that. My name is on it. And I mean, I wrote the original draft, and then I had some other people who the Country Bears mean a lot to and who I respect the opinions of kind of go through it. And so we knew when that piece came out that it needed to strike a certain chord, especially after the land and seas thing, which I don't even want to get into, that we had to hit a certain chord with people. And I think what came through is that the voices of a lot of people who really care. And I think we struck a chord with people, and that means a lot that everyone's been complimenting the piece so much. I know it meant a lot to everybody who was involved in it.
And I don't know if it's been mentioned or not, but a great thing about this attraction is rewritability. Whether it's the Bears on stage or Melvin, Buff, and Max on the side, you can go cycle through that as many times as you want, still see something new. I mean, last time I was there, I pretty much didn't take my eyes off Melvin, Buff, or Max, but just the little movements they make and the little like the way they look at each other during when Trixie's on stage or anything like that, just always makes me smile.
Yeah, there's a whole little sideshow that goes on. Yeah, and I mean that was Mark's thing. I don't know if you remember the story, but very close to the time that Walt saw the plans for the Bears, they were building Pirates of the Caribbean, and Walt looked through the plans, and I think he said something to Mark to the effect of, "This is great because this is so detailed that people will keep coming through, and you'll notice something different every time." And that was something Mark took to heart from Pirates onward, and I'm sure that applied to Bears.
I'm going to be, and I want to keep it short. I am going to be going to SafeJamboree.com. I'm going to be writing down all my thoughts and feelings about it, and blowing up the email accounts, and even putting through some snail mail, because this is something, I know the parks aren't supposed to be museums, but this needs to be there for all the reasons you and the whole panel have said. This is a piece of history. It needs to stay. It's very important.
You know, museums change exhibits all the time, but you know what you don't do? You don't throw out the Mona Lisa. So you change the exhibits around it. Anyway, thank you, Jesse.
All right, next up we have Michael. Michael, welcome to the program.
Hello, how are you guys doing? I know better. But...
Yeah, we're doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. The thing is with the Country Bears Jamboree is that it doesn't just touch people that are, I guess you would say, normal. It also hits the people with autism and stuff like that. When I worked at Disney, I worked in entertainment, and I was friends with the Country Bears. My 5th day of training, I'm sitting there as friends with Big Al over in America's Adventure, and I'm sitting there doing whatever, and all of a sudden I hear Big Al. Big Al. I turn around, I'm like, who in the world is this? Who knows me? Because nobody knows me. And he comes up to me, gives me a giant hug, and says, I want to be a part of the Country Bear Jamboree. How can I be a part of the Country Bear Jamboree? This was a 12-year-old kid that had autism, and he knew who Big Al was, because, and his dad came up and was like, Big Al, ever since he was 5, we started bringing him here, and he always wants to go see the Country Bears. His first full-length song was blood on the saddle.
That's pretty great.
Hello?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, we're
Wow.
just listening to the story.
And it hits a lot of things. Yes, I'm sad that it's actually not the original version of opening day.
Yeah.
Because after it came back from summer vacation, it got shortened. But it is still something that hits home with everybody. I'm the third generation to work at Disney. And my grandfather took me. My mother took me. I took my nieces and nephews to go see it, and they loved it. Yeah, some of the references and stuff like that is a little old school, and the songs that they sing, they can update the songs. Why don't they do that?
Yeah.
And second of all, isn't there a place maybe down the street a little bit called the Diamond Horseshoe that they could put a Western-themed show into?
Yeah. Yeah, and they could stop serving that slop in there, too. That'd be great. I'd even eat the slop to see...
they could do a whole...
show, yeah.
That would sell me on the... I would eat the Diamond Horseshoe if you put an animatronic show in there, sure.
Yeah, they could put a whole
Don't they have something like that in Tokyo?
Toy Story
That's
roundup
a show.
thing in there, and people will go and eat.
Yeah.
That's their big thing now is food.
Yeah.
The food may not
the
be
Duffy
good,
Show at Tokyo
but still,
Disney Sea.
It's not
there's a
with
place on the
animatronics.
way called Diamond Horseshoe.
Yeah,
well,
no,
and let's
there's
not
no...
forget.
Go ahead,
I was going to say, let's not forget that, ages ago when you would eat lunch next door from Country Bear, the three heads were in that restaurant
Melvin, Buff,
chatting
and Max,
away.
yeah. Mile-long bar.
And I don't have a lot of memories from my first trip. I was pretty young. I remember that. And so there are elements that have already been stripped that could easily be, put back. As much as we might like the character or the illustration of Pecos Bill, there's no, it's not beloved necessarily in the same way as Country Bear.
No.
And it feels like you could re-expand that and theme it a bit more to Bear Hall and try and bring some of those old memories back, because I agree with the caller. I think that this is, it's a generational thing, and we have fond memories of things we've already lost from Country Bear. I can't imagine losing all of it. So.
Yeah.
We've also got Kevin on the phone.
All right, Kevin.
Hey, guys. Nice talking to you tonight. Tom, first I wanted to say thank you for the time and effort you're putting forward on this. I apologize. I'm getting emotional.
No, it's been an emotional week for everybody. I get it.
Right. I just wanted to share with you my story. I felt that maybe it would be cathartic and maybe other people would enjoy it. I'm 46 years old. I'm a father of two. I have two daughters, a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. I moved to Florida about 17 years ago. And the big reason was we love Disney. I thought, man, if I can transfer with my job here and I go to Disney all the time, that's sort of like my version of utopia. So we were able to do that. My parents, when I was 2 years old, brought me here for the first time. Of course, you don't remember anything. You're 2 years old. But then they brought me again in 77, 78 when I was 7 years old, or 79 when I was 7 years old. And I remember going on the Country Bear Jamboree and being just blown away, thinking, oh, my God, there's bears, and they're singing and dancing. And this etched in my mind years later. I thought it was like a stand-up variety show, that it was like walking characters in a theater. That's how grandiose it came across to me as a child. And I get that. Nowadays, obviously, kids could be much more jaded. Technology's advanced. Maybe kids aren't going to get that same impact that I did as a child. But my 5-year-old, for the first time, was able to experience this last month. And she loved it. We're just sitting there dancing, clapping, having a good time. And just thinking that if this is gone, they're taking that away from us. Like the thought of not being able to share that, especially with my little one, the 15-year-old, they're teenagers, they get kind of jaded over these things. She still enjoys it, though. But especially with my little one, I can tell them, hey, I went on this attraction when I was your age.
Yeah.
You can't say that about many things in life in general, let alone a theme park
And
ride.
if you keep closing things, you're not going to be able to say that about anything. There's going to be nothing left like that.
And what saddens me, I know Disney's a public company, it's a corporation, it's a for-profit business, but it really bums me out that they could be so short-sighted on certain things where you have to know you need a balance of attractions. I'm not against new attractions. I love new rides. I love new experiences. But we don't need to have substitutions all the time.
No.
We could use additions. Give us the old with the new. Have the nostalgia with the new.
And when you're getting 3-hour wait times across the park,
it just boggles the mind. So again, thank you very much for all your effort in this and for everything else you've done for the community. I know some people, for some reason, don't appreciate that sometimes, which blows my mind. So I'll let the next caller get on so they can say their piece. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. Yeah, no, I mean, I
think Kevin said it.
Go ahead, Jason.
I think Kevin said it pretty well. That this is really just short-sighted, and we watched that clip from Mark Davis. And Mark was said to Walt, well, look, you could do this the cheap way or the expensive way. And Walt was like, no, I don't see it that way. You do it the right way.
There's a reason I let that clip go on so long.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's something that clearly Chapek needs to learn.
And the money will be there. If you do it right, the money will be there.
That's the point I think everybody misses, is that if you do it the right way, yes, you may not get the initial income, but over the long run, your shareholders are going to be a lot more happy with your product, and it's going to last a lot longer.
Think about what you spent on the Country Bear Jamboree in 1971, and you've gotten 48 years out of it. You ain't getting 48 years out of Slinky Dog Dash. You ain't getting 48 years out of Alien Swirling Saucers. I'm sorry. I promise you. If I'm still alive, I promise you that won't happen.
Imagine that.
They barely got 48 hours out of some things in Pixar Pier before the decals started peeling off.
The Zurg statue's already gone. The little Zurg statue lasted 2 weeks, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the Slinky Dog tails fell off in like a month and a half, 2 months, whatever it was.
Yeah.
No, it's short-sighted. They don't think about spending that money now, and it's at the point now where here's Universal again. You know, Slinky Dog Dash looks like an off-the-shelf piece of junk compared to what they did with Hagrid's. And they're both family coasters. Yeah, maybe Hagrid's is slightly more intense, but they're both non-inverting coasters that most members of the family can go on. And one of them is this very well-themed thing that feels like something almost completely new in a lot of ways. And it made me, it felt like, other than the animatronics other than that, it felt like a Disney ride. And
hey, it had animatronics.
It had animatronics, which is more than you're going to be able to say for Guardians of the Galaxy. So, yeah, it's a bad time. We've had a lot of fun with the Bob Chapek jokes. I'm done having fun. It's time for him to go. He is the second coming of Paul Pressler. He wields way more power. He's dangerous. He's bad for business. He is not the reason Galaxy's Edge is what it is, or Pandora, or any of those things. Tarzan, that was all Tom Staggs. Tom Staggs let them do what they needed to do, and you had this run of they can still do it. And these things made money. Mystic Manor, an original attraction, opened in 2013. They can't keep Albert the Monkey merchandise in stock. They can't keep it. That music box sells out every time it comes back. The plush sells out all the time. This is an original attraction they were allowed to build with the right budget, and they allowed them to do something original, and look what it did. Cars Land turned DCA around because you spent the money. Pandora made Animal Kingdom the second most attended theme park at Walt Disney World. It jumped ahead of 2 parks. And then you look at Star Wars and what that's going to be for them. That is not Bob Chapek. That was approved by Tom Staggs. This man approved Pixar Pier, Toy Story Land, Runaway Railway, a Guardians coaster where he budget cut all the animatronics out of it. He's a nuisance. He's a nuisance. He doesn't know what he's doing. People under him don't respect him or like him. They think he doesn't know what he's doing. They're right, I think. We need change. It's time. This is the beginning. We need to save the Country Bears, and then we need to go get this guy. Is what I think. That's the way I feel. I think as a community, we need to put everything aside and just get him out. We need to boo him out of the room at the D23 Expo. If you are going to the Expo and you're going to be in that Parks and Resorts presentation, I am standing up and booing. If you would like to join me, I invite you to do so, because that man is not getting cheered onto that stage. That's what I think. Do we have any more calls?
All right, with that, let's put this one to bed, and we have a Wigs post show coming up yet.
Oh, like Jason's just like, I'm tired. Time for you to end. Oh, gee, thanks.
And we still got half an hour to go.
Cut me short.
You had your say. It was a good end.
Shut up. We're certainly going to talk more about this. Obviously, nothing's even announced yet. We have a ways to go, but we do have a Wigs post show. We're back next week. We'll talk more about it. But go to SaveTheJamboree.com. Fill it out. We're going to give you more instructions as the week goes on. And remember, kids, don't forget to gather up your belongings and your husband, too. Good night.